Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never practice nunchucks in a crowded room. Never eat chole before a road trip. Always take your shirt off before you iron it. Don't take a call near a swimming pool. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
For several days now, I've been noticing demands, suggestions, some complaints that we should feature Sandeshkhali or what's happening in Sandeshkhali. Apologies to our Bengali viewers if I don't pronounce it right. The incidents there. And the reason I've been waiting to feature this on Clutter is because there's been so much clutter there. There's still a lot of clutter, but in this environment, which is hugely polarized, there are charges, counter charges, denials, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of partisanship on all sides. In that situation, I wanted a little more clarity. So what better now than actually having with me the person who has the clarity, because she's been on the ground. So this is my colleague Sreyashi Dey. She's based in Kolkata. She's a correspondent in Kolkata. She's visited Sandeshkhali as a reporter. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes. Sandeshkhali.
Sandeshkhali. All right. So when I get it wrong, she will correct me. Otherwise, she'll get it right. That's what matters. So she's done a tour of duty. Her stories, I will share with you. The links I will share with you with the description. You will also see some of those on the screen as we talk. There is also an article, an opinion piece by Monideepa Banerjee, who's a well-known, very senior journalist in West Bengal. You've seen her on NDTV forever. She now writes for us as and when she can find the time. I wish she would do that more often. So first of all, Sreyashi, you have to do most of this, right? I'm your spectator, and I'm your anchor in a way, like an anchor on camera. So I ask the questions and you answer them. So first of all, describe Sandeshkhali for us. The reason I'm asking her to describe Sandeshkhali is that when I tell you that it's taken some time getting clarity, it's because Sandeshkhali is not that far from Kolkata, but it's not so easy to get to. It also has a very interesting and peculiar and complex, challenging geography. So Sreyashi, been there, please explain that for us.
Geographically, we speak about Sandeshkhali. It comes under the Sundarbans region. It's a small island, completely cut off by land. So there's no motorable road to reach Sandeshkhali. You have to reach a point and take a ferry to reach Sandeshkhali. Administrative wise, if we talk about Sandeshkhali, while Sundarban essentially comes under South 24 Parganas district in West Bengal, Sandeshkhali part comes under the North 24 Parganas district under Boshirhat subdivision, which is, again, we have Nusrat Jahan, the MP from Boshirhat, Trinamool Congress MP over there. So the geographic and the administrative peculiarity of this particular area makes it a little difficult for anyone to reach Sandeshkhali. As reporters, we traverse a lot across districts, but once an area is completely cut off by water, we essentially go to these places when there is a cyclone or when an incident like Sandeshkhali happens. That's when we get to travel to these places because of its geographical location. But as you drive down Kolkata, the roads are excellent. But as you approach Sandeshkhali, something that you will, of course, notice is the kind of water bodies around that area. So as you start getting closer to Sandeshkhali, apart from the river, of course, which is there, you will see that on both sides, land has been cut up into fishing ponds, and you will see stagnant water. And as far as your eyes go, you will not see settlements. You will see water bodies after water bodies, small ones with, these bamboo barricades or JCPs standing by. So that is how Sandeshkhali looks to someone who's approaching it from Kolkata.
So when you say Sandeshkhali is cut off, in the sense that the only way to reach it from mainland is by boat.
Yes.
How long is the boat ride?
Depends on which ferry ghat you take that boat ride from. The closest one will be Dhamakhali. That's the last point for your vehicle to go. And then there are these very basic boats, which are, it's driven by those diesel engines, open, no security, no safety, bikes come in, cycles come in, and, the locals, and as well as now with it being in news, the media people, the police, the RAF, everyone is taking those boats. Of course, the police have a more modernized boat that they travel in, but for the locals, it's just a normal wooden boat that carries them across. 5 minutes, 3 rupees for a ticket.
RAF is Rapid Action Force.
Yes.
Right? And how far is Demakali from Kolkata? The ferry point?
Yes. So it takes essentially about 3 hours with traffic. The roads are good. So it's not very difficult to reach. It's a straight road from Kolkata, and there are different approach points to reach Sandeshkhali. There are different ferry ghats. And why this is interesting is because when the administration decided to impose Section 144, what they essentially did was they put Section 144 in these ferry ghats, stopping the political parties and, large gatherings to essentially not go into Sandeshkhali. So that became an easier aspect for the administration to manage law and order because of its geographic.
So the crowds of protesters could not go to Sandeshkhali.
That's right, yes.
Now see this picture. This is a general picture of Sundarbans on your screen. So you get an idea of the kind of terrain we are talking about. And the kind of region this is, because Sandeshkhali, just think of the people who live there. From what I understand, if somebody falls sick, somebody gets injured, somebody suffers trauma, which many people complain in this case that they do, they still have to wait for a ferry to go to the mainland.
Absolutely.
Even for sort of serious medical care,
Yes,
otherwise they're cut off.
Boshirhat being the closest hospital for them. Apart from that, if it's anything more serious, they'll have to travel to Kolkata for medical aid.
And how far is Boshirhat?
Boshirhat will not take too much time, but again, by road, around 2.5 hours still.
Yeah. But can you go there straight by road, or you still have to take a ferry to some place?
To leave Sandeshkhali or to reach Sandeshkhali, you have to take a boat.
It's an island.
It's an island.
It's a Sundarbans island. So once again, see that picture of the Sundarbans area. This is basically a series of many islands with a lot of mangroves, usually quite thinly populated and
That's
wild.
right.
And because it's swampy, lots of mosquitoes and lots of other not very nice guys floating there who could bite or who could spread disease as well. So it's a tough area to live in.
It's a tough area.
Now, the issue with Sandeshkhali, as I understand from Shreyashi's stories, is basically the charge that this gentleman, or maybe gentleman is an exaggeration, this man, Sheikh Shahjahan, who does have a TMC position, the local people there say that he came and grabbed their land. So explain that, because you talk to people, it is described in your story also. So how do they say he grabbed their land, and what did he do with those lands? Listen to this carefully.
When we went to Sandeshkhali to report, we spoke to several villagers there. We traveled to the villages one after the other, and the most prominent complaint that actually came out was of land grab. And they say that till about 2019, they were growing rice in these fields, and this was their main source of income. West Bengal primarily being an agricultural land, and they were farmers. But soon enough, they said that they would just wake up one morning to see that their paddy had been completely spoiled because JCBs had been brought in from outside. Again, very interesting, because we said that this is an island land and it's very difficult to transport.
So somebody got boats big enough to transport JCBs to the island.
Yes, and not just one, but several of them, at least 4 of them in this particular village that I was in. And they said that the entire agricultural produce had been spoiled. The crops which were just about to be harvested had been completely, taken off. And these land was then, the JCB was used to pull out the soil. And then there was the river water that was pumped in. What happens essentially when you pump in river water is that the saline, the salinity of that water the land becomes unfertile because of the saline presence of, in that water. And then these lands are then converted into bheris in Bengali, what are essentially fish ponds. So then one only can produce fish in this land, in this water, but it becomes completely unfit to grow any rice, any crop thereafter.
And in case you are wondering how come the river water is salt filled, that is because this is where the river Ganga, Hooghly, in those parts, is meeting the sea. These are the mouths of the Ganges. So this is where the sea water also comes back. It's with the tides. So sea water and fresh water mix. And there are many fish who particularly grow in this water. And some of those are really valuable delicacies as well. That said, this region is among the 3 biggest fish producing regions in India. That is East Midnapur, North 24 Parganas and South 24 Parganas. This is North 24 Parganas.
That's right.
And the population, you tell me, in 2011 census was 164,000 people.
Yes,
of which
approximately.
Which region?
Of Sandeshkhali. And then if we see the composition further, it's about, we found out as per the census, there were 77% Hindus there and 22% Muslims there. But Sandeshkhali, what I saw while reporting is that it is predominantly inhabited by Hindu families in Sandeshkhali, and then there are other pockets where you will find minorities, but primarily Hindu.
And you know what? These are things we need to understand, and that's one of the purposes and one of the objectives of Clutter, to put facts in perspective. When you think 164,000 in 2011 census, the people must be producing a lot of babies, and by this time it may be 2.5 lakhs, 3 lakhs, whatever, because there are also stereotypes about Muslim populations. So first of all, the Muslim population in the Bashirhat constituency, which is Nusrat Jahan's constituency, she is a film star. She's one of the 2 women film stars who joined TMC and became members of parliament, got elected to Lok Sabha the last time, Mimi Chakrabarti being the other one. She's from here, and immediately even my impression was that this must be a Muslim dominated constituency, but census tells us that this was 22% Muslim, 7% Hindu. That said, population growth, that was 2011 census, how much could have changed? So I discovered something really interesting, which is birth rates in West Bengal. Birth rates in West Bengal are actually very low. So on so many social indicators, West Bengal has done very well over the decades. You can say credit the left, maybe credit the Congress before that, I don't know. But definitely some credit to the left, some credit to TMC, but most of all credit to Bengali people. Because Bengal's birth rates now in 2020 are only 1.46%. That is really small. That is really low. If you want to see comparisons in all of India, then the top of the pops, the champion of course is Bihar at 2.55%, followed by Uttar Pradesh 2.5%. That's twice as much. UP is twice as much as West Bengal. Bihar is more than twice as much. Madhya Pradesh 2.4, again about twice as much as West Bengal. Jharkhand 2.2, Rajasthan 2.35. All of this is higher, much higher than West Bengal. So West Bengal population growth is not that much. In fact, if you look at West Bengal, of the major states, it's 20th in a field of 22 by way of birth rate. In fact, the only two states among the major states which have a birth rate lower than West Bengal. I could have said better than West Bengal because conventional logic is that lower birth rates are better, although this might be time for us to start worrying about that and learning from the Chinese experience, revising our opinion. That said, let me get this digression out of the way. The only two major states with a better or lower birth rate than West Bengal are Delhi and Tamil Nadu, and that also is marginal. West Bengal is 1.46%. Delhi and Tamil Nadu have 1.4. So this is not a state. First of all, the first stereotype that this is a state or this is a region which has a lot of Muslims, large Muslim majority. That's not true. Neither in this constituency nor in this cluster of villages. And second, West Bengal is not a state where population is rising very fast. If anything, the population today is below replacement levels. That said, tell us what exactly happened. What exactly are these incidents? As I understand, they started on 5 January when these raiding parties of Enforcement Directorate were attacked.
In January, the ED had left from Kolkata very early in the morning and they reached Sheikh Shahjahan's house after his name cropped up during the investigation of the alleged ration scam that the central agency is investigating currently. And when the ED reached Sheikh Shahjahan's residence, they found it was locked. And while they were trying to break open the house, the locals came in by the numbers and attacked the ED officials. It became a very big news point, of course, back then.
And the locals collected all of a sudden in a small place?
They started collecting slowly. According to the Enforcement Directorate before the High Court, it was said that Sheikh Shahjahan had made calls from inside the house, and that's how the locals had gathered.
He was there at that point.
According to the Enforcement Directorate and the call records that they have, that Sheikh Shahjahan was present inside the house. He made phone calls, and that's when the locals had gathered and then attacked the Enforcement Directorate officers.
How big was this mob?
It was more than, it was almost 1,000. And the ED officers had sustained injuries. 3 of them were hospitalized. The governor had gone to visit the ED officers as well. And this was essentially the first time that any central agency officers had been attacked in such a way in West Bengal.
So the injured ED people also would have had to be evacuated by ferries?
In fact, it was the media who had rescued the ED officers because their car had been vandalized, and the security forces that they had with them they raid with central forces in West Bengal and
so
other parts of the country.
On the boat?
So Sheikh Shahjahan's residence is not inside Sandeshkhali. It's in this place called Shorberia, which is an approach road to Sandeshkhali. So they were in their cars, but they were there with central agencies because they get security in West Bengal, and they were attacked, and the media came and rescued the ED officials. Their laptops were snatched, their wallets were snatched, the documents that they were carrying were snatched by the locals, and they had no clue that this would have unfolded in hours of them reaching that place. And that was how it was almost like throwing a stone at a beehive. That's what the ED essentially did, and that is the beginning of Sandeshkhali's unrest.
Do you know something about the community-wise mix of this mob that collected? Was it more Muslims, more Hindus, both?
That would be difficult to say because I wasn't present there when the attack happened. But it was mostly locals from around. So there would be a mixed gathering of both Hindu and Muslim population. But essentially, these were supporters of Sheikh Shahjahan, who holds a post in the Trinamool Congress. And they had come in to protest against the ED raids in Sheikh Shahjahan's residence.
So 2 questions. I'm figuring which one to put first, but let's put the man first. Who is Sheikh Shahjahan? Describe him to us, and also then tell us what is the ration scam.
So Sheikh Shahjahan essentially is a Trinamool Congress strongman in North 24 Parganas. If you talk about his post in the Trinamool Congress, he is Sandeshkhali Block 1 Sabhapati of the Trinamool Congress. He started his...
He's not an MLA.
He does not hold any public post of an MLA or an MP. He essentially started as a strongman to his uncle, who was a Gram Pradhan in the CPIM regime in Sandeshkhali. And he used to do these odd jobs for the CPIM. But like, you know...
So did the nephew also work for... Was he also on CPIM?
Not officially. He had not joined, but he was his uncle's shadow. That's where he started picking up the...
But uncle
skills.
was in CPM.
Yes, he was a Gram Pradhan during the CPIM regime. And Sheikh Shahjahan, he learned the the trick of the trades back then while working for his uncle on the sideline. So it essentially meant controlling the bricklins over there, the bheris that becomes the central talking point of the Sandeshkhali unrest. He became the muscle man over there in Sandeshkhali. So when we as media went and spoke to the locals there, they said that even a leaf doesn't move without the permission of Sheikh Shahjahan in Sandeshkhali, which goes on to explain how powerful he is. And thereafter, he joined the Trinamool Congress, the youth wing of the Trinamool Congress, and he's been with the party since then. He's been seen in several party programs, and of course, like anyone else, he has his aides, and the two most prominent aides in this case, of course, Uttam Sardar, and you have Shibu Hazra, who we will come to in a bit, related to this entire episode that we are talking about. And Sheikh Shahjahan essentially came into the news during this ED raids on the ration
scam. He disappeared. He hasn't been caught yet.
He hasn't been caught as yet. He's been absconding since the raids that took place in January. And despite all the complaints that are coming out, and with state administration saying that they will be taking action, he still remains at large. His name first cropped up in the ration scam, the alleged scam that the
What is the ration scam?
So basically, the food minister of West Bengal, Jyotipriya Malik, was arrested in the ration scam that is being looked in by the ED, Enforcement Directorate, and they claim that a lot of the PDS money was siphoned through accounts in Dubai, and this is a really very big scam amounting in thousands of crores. That's what they have said before the court, in which Jyotipriya Malik was,
he just lost his job, I believe.
He was just suspended from the post, from his cabinet post last week. And the ED has found, of course, the money trail, which they essentially investigate, that how ration money that was meant for the farmers, there were fake farmers list that was put up, and this money was transferred to Trinamool Congress leaders and Jyotipriya Malik's accounts, including his family members. And the money was then siphoned through Dubai, and there has been a big money nexus that has happened in this particular ration, which is supposed to be meant for the poor people. And the ED is still investigating this matter. And during the investigation, the ED claims that Sheikh Shahjahan's name came up as one of the payoffs that Jyotipriya Malik had done. And that is why they had gone to examine and raid Sheikh Shahjahan's house, essentially to see if they find any ration scam related documents or data with him.
And that's when this attack took place.
That's when this attack took place.
Now, to understand this, what exactly happened and what are people protesting about, let me try and tell you a little briefly, but based entirely on what Sreyashi has told me and what I read in her story, that they say that Sheikh Shahjahan's people came one morning, they appeared there with JCBs and basically said, this is our land. You might be growing paddy here, but that doesn't matter to us. We'll be growing fish here, right? And so they destroyed the paddy fields, and then they dug a little bit. Soil is very soft there. It's very easy to dig a little deeper. If you have JCBs, use the same soil to maybe make the boundaries and put bamboo barricades there.
Just demarcate.
And in those ditches that they made, those shallow ditches, they filled the river water, which was salt-laden, salty river water, and then put the seed for the fish they wanted to grow. This is fish, many varieties of fish, which grow in lightly salty water, isn't it?
That's right.
And this is a very lucrative business, and for which they say, the villagers say that they promised them a certain amount of money. What was the money?
So they said that these lands were essentially taken up by these Trinamool Congress leaders on an annual lease of approximately 6,000 rupees a year. So for the land that they took.
There was how much land for 6,000?
Just per person, whoever. So some people had a few acres, some people had half an acre. They were all growing paddy together. That's what they say.
Right. So land holdings are very small in this area.
That's right. And when we asked them that do they have any documents to prove how much land they had or whether it belongs to them at all, they said they didn't have documents, but it was the land that they had been using for agriculture for years, and their family had been growing paddy. Another point that I must put out here is that most of the houses had the young men out as migrant workers. They are mostly working in Tamil Nadu is what I understood over there. So the young men are out of the village working elsewhere to earn a living. And these homes in Sandeshkhali are now with the women, aged in-laws and their children. So that's the composition of the house. So when these men would force to land grab, it would be the women who would come out to protest, but there was very little that they could do. And it was almost like an unsaid rule that once this JCB comes in and once they take control, you have no say on that land. You have no part to play.
And this compensation was never paid.
The compensation was never paid for years. So some lost their land in 2019, some lost it during COVID in 2020-21, but till date, they haven't been paid any money.
And you know what? There will be and there is a lot of whataboutery in this situation because it is a very polarized situation. BJP versus TMC is a bare knuckles fight. In fact, it's much more intense than what we might describe as a mere bare knuckles fight. Yet, a few facts you cannot challenge. Such as in 2023, that is May of 2023, West Bengal government passed a notification regularizing all water bodies in this area which existed before 7/11/2017. So, if this Shahjahan grabbed these lands before then, which seems to be the case, and converted these from paddies, from lush paddies into his fish ponds, that act was regularized by this West Bengal government notification in May 2023. And then there was also a rate fixed for this, which was quite small.
Per biga, yes, it was quite small.
Per biga, it was very small. So this was like government allowed the lease of these lands. Government sanctified the takeover of these lands. And that is what one of the things that villagers were protesting about?
Yes, they said that they had not been paid the money. They had lost control of their land. And of course, what essentially their primary problem was that because of this, they have lost their livelihood. So they don't have enough money to run a family because the land that was giving them the money to run their homes was missing now.
And when they went to somebody with grievances, they were told to go to one of his thugs, so one of his strongmen.
So of course we asked that the main moot question is that why is it all coming out now? Why are women complaining of sexual harassment? Why are we talking about land grab in Sandeshkhali? Why are we talking about so many problems in Sandeshkhali now? If something like this had been going on for years, and everyone knew about it. The locals tell us that essentially whenever they went to the police station with complaints, there is only one police station in Sandeshkhali, and whenever they went there with their complaints, they were not registered. Even if it was a domestic problem, they say, even if it was a problem with their husband, the police would not interfere and they would direct them to the party office where Shibu Hazra would be there, and they would say that, go talk to Shibu Hazra, he will find a solution.
Shibu Hazra is a key character there.
Key character figure. And also a very close aide of Sheikh Shahjahan.
I'd say strongman of
Absolutely.
Sheikh Shahjahan.
Yes. So
has he been arrested now?
Shibu Hazra has been arrested only on Saturday after, of course, the kind of stories that were coming out, the public outrage over there in Sandeshkhali led to the arrest of Shibu Hazra.
And the other guy, Uttam Sardar?
He was arrested before Shibu Hazra and he was also suspended from the party officially for 6 years.
Now, tell us what happened, because what is the sense? Because on the one hand, people will say, oh, massacres have taken place. Babies have been grabbed from mothers' arms and thrown on the ground and crushed. Mass gang rapes have taken place. The other side will say it's exaggerated. So what is your sense of what happened?
When we walked into the village, everyone seemed very upset with the fact that their grievances had not been heard. Their problems had not been addressed, and they had been pushed to the wall. And thus they had to come out and protest and make their voices be heard. What happened on the 8th of February, when the government was presenting its budget in the Vidhan Sabha in Kolkata, women in Sandeshkhali came out in large numbers with brooms and sticks in their hands, protesting against the state government. The biggest narrative that came out from these protests was that women were sexually harassed in masses in the party office. We spoke to several such women and of the locality, and they said that they were called to the party office at odd hours. They were made to sit there. They were made to cook. They were made to sit. They were told that they would have to take part in rallies. These phone calls came at 10 in the morning, 10 in the night, 11 in the night. And when such phone calls came, attendance was mandatory. There is no way you can not be present. Everyone knows everyone there. And if you're not present, your husband is attacked, you're attacked, your family is attacked. This is the kind of complaints that were coming out.
Were they touched inappropriately, or was there molestation?
The ones that we spoke to, no one said that they had been sexually harassed or they had been raped. Because these are the allegations that have been made by political parties as well, and we've been seeing it and reading it everywhere. Then the next question, of course, is, do they know someone who had been sexually harassed in their locality, in their village, that had gone through this ordeal? And they couldn't give any names. When we spoke to the women also, they essentially said that, how do we tell the world about our ordeals? Because if we are sexually harassed, our dignity is at stake. We go back to our husbands. How do we speak about this to everyone else? And how do we convince anyone that we were sexually assaulted as women? Of course, when we report, we fact check, we speak to several people. Also, we have to talk to the police because that is a part of our job. The police said that they had not received any complaints of sexual harassment so far. A special investigating team was set up. Many would now come in to say that, it's the state police team. Maybe they are hiding facts. Maybe they're not giving it to the media. But we have to go by what the FIRs are, what the complaints are, and trust the justice system, of course. But as we speak today, one case of gang rape has been registered. When she filed a complaint on the 8th of February, this is according to the Director General of Police, West Bengal, IPS Rajiv Kumar, who held a press conference and said that on the 8th of February, when they received a complaint, there was no charge of gang rape raised by the woman. But later on, when she went before the magistrate to record her statement under section 164 of the CRPC, she alleged gang rape, and that's when the police added that charge and arrested Shibu Hazra on Saturday, who is now in police remand for the next 8 days.
And the charge in this FIR now includes gang rape as well.
That's right. And this is the first case of gang rape that has come out from Sandeshkhali officially, which is being looked in by the police.
Yeah, and this is registered. Any deaths in this case?
None.
Any fatalities?
None as yet.
So as I can see, Sreyashi, it's almost like a story from the movies. A lot of the Bengali movies of exploitation of a local dada coming in, grabbing your land, beating you up, not paying you anything, basically reducing you to serfdom, right? Which has been happening in West Bengal, and we thought at least the left claims that they had put this behind them. But the fact is that in the process, the left created also an army of local thugs. And am I right now to say that most of those thugs, local thugs and dadas and gundas, then walked across to TMC?
Initially, of course, in 2011, when Mamata Banerjee came into power, there was essentially the left and the TMC, and there was very little BJP back then in 2011. So the CPIM voters had essentially gone into the Trinamool Congress, and so had the cadres and workers. But of course, there has been realignment now with the BJP coming into full force as a opposition party in West Bengal. You have the ISF, which has Naushad Siddiqui as its face in West Bengal. So there are more political parties now. But
ISF is the Muslim leaders party. Furfura Sharif.
Furfura Sharif cleric, and they have a strong presence in North 24 Parganas, and Bhangar, of course, not being very far from Sandeshkhali, where this entire incident had cropped up. But of course, the timing of the incident is such that we have the Lok Sabha elections going to be announced anytime in in March is what we are expecting. Mamata Banerjee, of course, fighting tooth and nail against the BJP in West Bengal. She has vowed to break into that BJP, vote share that they had got in 2019 of sending 18 MPs from West Bengal. So it's a larger task cut out for the Trinamool Congress, which is already grappling with a lot of scams here in the state of West Bengal. And now, of course, Sandeshkhali coming into the forefront, where women are, out and about raising complaints against the Trinamool Congress, is going to be a tough one for the Chief Minister to firefight and move forward with elections just around the corner.
So do you think this has the potential of turning into an equivalent of Shingur or Nandigram, of what those two became for the left?
I think not as much, but of course, one cannot deny the similarities between the two, the way people have come out and raised their voices against the government. And if we talk about Sandeshkhali, in the Panchayat elections last year, the TMC had won 323 seats out of 347 uncontested.
Oh, that's more than 90%.
Uncontested.
Yeah.
So it is essentially a Trinamool.
323 out of 347. That's 92%.
In Sandeshkhali.
93%, right? And those were won uncontested.
Uncontested by the Trinamool Congress. So when we spoke to, the villagers in Sandeshkhali, they openly said that they were Trinamool Congress supporters, workers. They've been with the party, and they had hoped that they will get the money that was promised to them for the land that they had given on lease, but not having those, that money, returned to them. Now, of course, the state government has set up camps. They are taking in complaints of land grab. The ministers have promised the lease amount to be paid to the villagers, but it's coming after, the villagers had to come out in this way with large protests and, making it a talking point. Of course, we did see how Smriti Irani, the Union Minister of Women and Childcare, came out here in New Delhi and did a press conference against what was happening in Sandeshkhali. So, of course, it's a big talking point. And the similarities, if you ask me, between Nandigram, Singur movement and this, I think the role of the opposition, back then, we had seen Mamata Banerjee going tooth and nail against the CPIM over these issues, her riding pillion on the bike to enter, because back then also the CPIM had not allowed opposition parties to enter these areas. Police was armed with fire gun. There was, of course, a brutality there. People had died in the land movement. That had not occurred here, but similarities of seeing the opposition parties like the BJP trying to enter Sandeshkhali. We did see how the party Bengal president Shukanto Mazumdar tried to take a bike ride, till the ferry ghat. Got injured, filed a complaint. So the similarities are quite out there for the people of Bengal to see, who have seen the movements in the past and are witnessing Sandeshkhali. But whether this will be a quicksand for Mamata or not, of course, time will tell. If they are able to firefight, bring justice to the people, I don't think that will be a problem. But if they continue to deny, and if the people are not satisfied with the action taken, it might, of course, backfire. But again, the primary demand from the locals is the arrest of Sheikh Shahjahan, and he still remains at large.
He has to be found, because the ED also wants him. Now, all I can say is that you will, no matter what happens, no matter what rolls out of Sandeshkhali as we go on, by way of facts and reality, this name of the place shall keep echoing in your ears until the elections, at least, because this will not go away so easily. And for Mamata Banerjee now, this has become a big challenge and a test, because the important thing is West Bengal is that, unlike say in UP or Bihar, particularly UP, I will say, where if the BJP gets 50% of the Hindu vote, BJP can win most of the seats. It's not quite so in West Bengal. So pure polarization cannot win BJP the seats that it wants in West Bengal. That is because a lot of the women in West Bengal don't just vote as Hindus or Muslims, they also vote as Mamata Banerjee's supporters. So this incident, that is why for the BJP this comes handy to project this protest by women and the assaults and exploitation of women to make the point that women are not doing as well as Mamata Banerjee claims in her reign. And that's how the BJP would like to pull some of the women vote away from Mamata Banerjee. And that is what Mamata Banerjee really worries about. Because if she begins to lose her women's vote bank, then she's going to be in real trouble. Am I right?
That's right. So in 2021, essentially 49% women had voted in favor of the Trinamool Congress as per the reports. So the women's support
that
is...
means 51% for all the rest of them. BJP, left, Congress, etc.
That's right.
etc.
That's right. So, of course, women voters play a very big role, and Mamata Banerjee over the years, of course, has put out schemes, especially for women, to empower the women of West Bengal. So that goes on to show how important the women vote bank is for the Trinamool Congress.
Well, thank you, Sreyashi. It's been wonderful having you with me, because I would have struggled even if I had read everything you said, and even if I had read everything everybody said, I would have still struggled. So thank you very much. Plus, you sound a lot more convincing than I would have.